war. We didn't get along with each other after that. So we started building rockets for, well, weapons of defense, weapons of war. These rockets originally were used for our military. They had bombs in them. And when we wanted to go to space, come on guys, follow me, we're going in. If we wanted to go to space, we could take the military rockets, remove the bombs, and modify these weapons of war into scientific instruments to help us. Now I got a question for you. Don't answer it yet. Just think about it, and then I'll let you know when to answer it. What was the first satellite ever launched into space? You know it?
And partially filmed as well. Did anyone watch the latest movie, Fly Me to the Moon, with Channing Tatum, Scarlett Johansson, and Woody Harrelson? I'll take that as a no. You're a tough crowd. Very tough. There was other movies here as well. Does anyone remember Contact with Jodie Foster? The Right Stuff? What about Space Cowboys? Okay, let's get more modern. What about Men in Black 3? Okay, and the greatest science fiction movie of all time. Are you ready? Sharknado. Ladies and gentlemen, on top of the Artemis rocket, there's going to be a capsule called the Orion that will take our astronauts to the moon. We have to have a way to get that capsule and astronauts away if something goes wrong during flight. That's what that is on the right there, that missile. It looks like a missile. It's the launch abort system that pulls the capsule away. And if you look right here, this is the clean room, and this is the actual crew access arm. They've really updated them now, if you could see the launch pad better. This is the one that every Apollo astronaut walked across to go to the moon. When they walked across it, it was at 300 feet in the air. Now it's only 3 feet. And the next thing you see is an M113 personnel carrier. A vehicle like that, or some type of vehicle like that, armored vehicle, is around the bottom of the launch pad, off away from it. If something goes wrong as our astronauts are getting into the capsule, how do they get down? Well, they actually have baskets up there. They'll jump in a basket and they actually zip line down. They zip line down into the vehicle.
They're doing it with a rocket that no man had ever flown before. It was a few days before Christmas, 1968, when Apollo 8 sat on the pad. She was the first of a new kind. This was the Phoenix, risen from the ashes of Apollo 1. The first Apollo crew did not die in vain. This was to be their testament. "36 stories high, she had been fully fueled throughout the night. The liquid oxygen in her tanks caused ice to form on the outside of the craft. The extreme temperature differences between the air and the sub-zero fuel caused the metal skin of the rocket to expand and contract. Everyone who was on the pad agreed. It was as though the rocket was alive, breathing, straining at the leash. Earlier in the morning, astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders had made their final preparations before taking that long ride out to the waiting spacecraft. The minimum safe distance from a Saturn V at liftoff was 3 miles. The reason was simple. When fully fueled, the rocket contained the explosive power of an atomic bomb. As the clock counted down, the astronauts, and all of us in launch control, went through the pre-flight checks. Our hands on the controls of the most powerful, most complex machine ever built. It had over 2 million separate systems, and to bring these men back alive, everything had to work perfect. Each individual system had been tested, but what we didn't know was how they would perform when all 2 million began to work together. That moment would come when the countdown clock reached 0. If a maneuvering thruster failed, if communications broke down, if navigation was off by 1 degree, if any piece of the miles of wiring, circuits, relays, or valves was defective, Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders would pay with their lives. As they sat, waiting for launch on that chill December morning, these 3 astronauts were back to what they had always been, test pilots. You are now in the final minutes before the launch of Apollo 8, right here where it actually happened. Mankind is about to leave his planet behind and journey to another. It is one of those rare moments when history is not being made, destiny is being embraced.
This is launch control, T-minus 3 minutes and counting. We've completed our communications checks with the Apollo 8 astronauts in the cabin, and the communications are go. During this period, once we do get the firing command, the various tanks within the 3 stages of the Saturn V launch vehicle begin to pressurize. We have firing command. The firing command is in. We are now on the automatic sequence. T-minus 2 minutes, 20 seconds, and counting. Our status board indicates that all aspects are ready. Instrument unit is ready. Spacecraft ready. Final check of the emergency detection system. That ready light also on. First stage preparations are completed.
All systems remain okay. Keep going. We're on. Ready to go to Crossway. Stand by, Walter. Okay, you're on.
All systems go.
1 minute 45 seconds and counting. The first stage liquid oxygen tank has been pressurized, and the pressure is still building up. Coming up in 90 seconds, mark T-minus 90 seconds and counting. The Apollo 8 crew standing by, spacecraft commander Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, Bill Anders. We now report that the liquid hydrogen tank in the third stage is pressurized. 1 minute 15 seconds. All third stage propellants pressurized at this time as we come up on the 60-second mark on the flight to the moon. T-minus 60 seconds and counting. The vehicle now is completely pressurized. We're coming up on a power transfer shortly. We have the power transfer. We're now on the flight batteries within the launch vehicle. Final reports coming from Frank Borman at this time. Final look at the switch list aboard the spacecraft. 20 seconds, all aspects. We are still in go at this time. T-minus 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. The ignition sequence start. The engines are on. 4, 3.
I'm Jim Lovell, and I was one of the crew of this spacecraft, Apollo 8. We were the first men to see the surface of the moon from just a few miles away. But it was the hundreds of thousands of men and women who worked with that team, and the millions of people who supported the mission that really made it possible. That way, I guess, we all went to the moon. Now, on the other side of those doors, you'll find an actual Saturn V moon rocket. It's still the most powerful, the most complex machine ever built. And I guess it's the only one that can take you to another planet. I've actually got to fly one on the second flight to the moon called Apollo 13. But that's another story.